Canada's Oakville sits about an hour west of Toronto. It's a quiet lakeside town with no famous landmarks, no towering skyline, and nothing that would immediately catch the world's attention. A marina, residential neighborhoods, and a handful of sports facilities, that's about it. At first glance, it looks like any other small town. Yet this ordinary place became the home of two athletes who would eventually stand at the very top of the figure skating world. Long before the medals, before the headlines, and before millions of fans knew their names, this was where they spent 7 years building a dream. Their life in Oakville was far from glamorous. There were no red carpets, no celebrity treatment, and no constant spotlight. Instead, there were early mornings, exhausting practices, grocery runs, and evenings spent cooking in a small apartment kitchen. One story from those years perfectly captures the reality of their life together. On one ordinary night, Ryuichi Kihara jokingly complained about one of Riku Miura's homemade meals. The food was delicious, he said, but cleaning up afterward was a lot of work. Even as he complained, he kept eating. It was the kind of moment most people would forget. Yet those simple evenings revealed something important. Their true strength wasn't built on the podium. It was built during countless ordinary nights just like that one. Think about what they were facing. They lived in a foreign country where they knew almost no one. Family was thousands of miles away. Childhood friends were gone. The only person who truly understood their daily struggle was the teammates standing beside them. Every doctor's appointment, every shopping trip, every government form, and every challenge of daily life had to be navigated in a language and culture that were not their own. Day after day, they trained, returned home, and repeated the process all over again. To many people, that routine might sound simple. But anyone who has ever lived far from home knows how quietly loneliness can wear down the spirit. There are evenings when unfamiliar streets feel colder than they should. Moments when hearing another language all day makes you long for the comfort of home. Times when memories of family suddenly appear in your mind for no reason at all. Those feelings can become overwhelming. Yet through all of it, Miura and Kihara had each other. Not because they were a romantic couple, but because they were partners chasing the exact same dream. In a place where everything felt unfamiliar, they could rely on one another. That trust became the foundation that kept them moving forward. Although they worked with nutrition specialists, much of their daily life revolved around home-cooked meals. Kihara became known for making rich curry slowly cooked in a pressure cooker. Miura often prepared fluffy omelette rice. They weren't trying to impress anyone. They weren't competing over who could cook better. They simply shared meals together after long days on the ice. Sitting across from each other at the dinner table, they talked about training, laughed about random moments from the day, and sometimes sat quietly while enjoying their food. Those dinners became a small piece of Japan inside a foreign country. Having someone who spoke your language and understood exactly what you were going through made an enormous difference. There were other routines too. During those years, Miura didn't drive, which naturally meant Kihara often handled transportation. Whether it was getting to practice or traveling to appointments, he frequently took on the responsibility. Sometimes they had to drive long distances for treatment or rehabilitation sessions. Those trips often stretched through mealtime. According to people close to them, Kihara would sometimes prepare homemade lunches for both of them before they left. Not because anyone asked him to. Not because cameras were watching. Simply because he didn't want his partner going hungry during a long journey. It was a small gesture, almost invisible to the outside world, yet it reflected the quiet consideration that defined their partnership. These moments never appeared in official statistics. They weren't listed in competition results. No one awarded points for kindness or reliability. Yet those little acts of support accumulated over time, creating a bond stronger than many people realized. Every successful partnership is built on thousands of small moments, and theirs was no different. Whenever they had time away from training, they occasionally explored the town together. One story often repeated involves a local Japanese restaurant. The staff initially assumed they were a young couple. After all, they arrived together, shared meals, laughed often, and seemed completely comfortable in each other's company. Only later did the restaurant employees realize they were professional athletes after noticing the sponsor logos on their jackets. The staff remembered tables filled with food and two skaters who enjoyed every bite. For a few hours, they could step away from the pressure of competition and simply enjoy being young people living abroad. This is an important point. When people see a young man and woman living in a foreign country, sharing meals, and spending most of their time together, assumptions are natural. Many observers wondered whether there was something more to their relationship. Yet Miura and Kihara consistently described themselves in the same way, as partners, teammates, and companions pursuing the same goal. Their story is not about romance. It is about trust. It is about two athletes who depended on each other in a way few people ever experience. Then came one of the most difficult periods imaginable. In the spring of 2020, the COVID-19 pandemic shut down the world. Training facilities closed. Ice rinks were locked. International travel became nearly impossible. Suddenly, the foundation of their entire life disappeared. For nearly 2 months, they couldn't step onto the ice. They couldn't return home to Japan. They couldn't train for the future they had worked so hard to build. The uncertainty was crushing. Like many athletes around the world, they faced questions nobody could answer. When would competition return? When would training resume? Would their progress disappear? For Miura, the isolation became especially difficult. Without skating, she struggled with homesickness and the emotional weight of being far from family. The familiar routine that had structured her life was gone. Kihara noticed what his partner was going through. Instead of focusing only on skating, he focused on helping a friend. According to reports from that period, he encouraged her to get outside, go for walks, and take drives around town. There was no competitive purpose behind those outings. They weren't designed to improve performance or prepare for future events. They were simply attempts to lift the spirits of someone who was struggling. On the ice, partners trust each other with physical safety. Off the ice, they sometimes end up protecting each other emotionally as well. Their coaches often emphasize that successful pair skating depends on far more than technical ability. Jumps, lifts, throws, and spins matter, but trust matters even more. Every lift requires one skater to place complete faith in the other. Every throw-jump demands confidence that a partner will be exactly where they need to be. Without trust, the sport simply doesn't work. Looking back, it becomes clear that the dinners, the car rides, the shared challenges, and even those difficult lockdown months were strengthening the same trust that would later carry them through major competitions. Nothing about those years looked dramatic from the outside. There were no movie-worthy scenes or headline-making moments. Most days were remarkably ordinary. Practice, dinner, repeat. Yet that simplicity was exactly what made their partnership so strong. They weren't building a relationship during moments of glory. They were building it during the quiet stretches nobody else noticed. And as the months turned into years, that invisible foundation continued to grow stronger. What neither of them could fully see at the time was that every challenge, every sacrifice, and every ordinary day in Oakville was preparing them for something far greater than they ever imagined. The road ahead would bring injuries, setbacks, heartbreak, and moments when their dreams seemed impossibly far away. But it would also bring opportunities that would test everything they had learned during those long years in Canada, and the next chapter of their journey would prove just how powerful that bond had become. What came next would challenge Miura and Kihara in ways that no training session ever could. Life in Oakville had taught them discipline, patience, and trust, but the years ahead would test whether those qualities were truly strong enough to survive the harsh realities of elite sport. Success in figure skating is never a straight line. Behind every medal are injuries, disappointments, and moments when athletes wonder if all their sacrifices are worth it. For Miura and Kihara, those moments arrived more than once. One of the most difficult challenges came when injuries began interrupting the momentum they had worked so hard to build. In pair skating, the body is constantly pushed to its limits. Every lift, every throw jump, and every landing places tremendous stress on muscles and joints. A single injury can affect not just one athlete but the entire team. When one partner struggles physically, both partners feel the consequences. In 2022, just before an important competition, Miura suffered a shoulder dislocation. For most people, a shoulder injury is painful enough. For a pair skater, it can be devastating. The shoulder plays a role in nearly every element of the discipline. Lifts depend on it. Throws depend on it. Stability depends on it. Suddenly, movements that once felt automatic become sources of uncertainty and fear. No one outside their inner circle truly knows the conversations they had during that period. No cameras were present when they discussed their concerns. No reporters were there to hear the words exchanged between them. Yet what became obvious was that they refused to allow the setback to define them. Instead of giving in to frustration, they approached recovery the same way they approached everything else, with patience and mutual support. Then, just when things seemed to be improving, another obstacle appeared. In the autumn of 2023, Kihara received a diagnosis that threatened his own ability to compete. He was dealing with a serious lower back condition that forced him to withdraw from multiple events. For a male pair skater, the lower back is the foundation of nearly everything. It supports lifts, absorbs impact, and carries enormous physical demands every single day. When that foundation begins to fail, every movement becomes difficult. Suddenly, the roles they had grown accustomed to shifted. During previous challenges, Kihara had often been the one helping his partner through difficult moments. Now it was Miura's turn to provide support. The person who had once driven to appointments, prepared meals, and offered encouragement now found himself facing uncertainty. Recovery was slow. Progress was frustrating. There were days when improvements seemed invisible. Yet those years in Oakville had already taught them something important. Trust is not built when everything is going well. Trust is built when things fall apart. It is easy to support someone during moments of victory. It is much harder to remain positive when plans collapse, injuries appear, and the future becomes unclear. Time and again, they chose to face those difficulties together. People who worked closely with the pair often spoke about how they matured over the years. When they first arrived in Canada, they were talented athletes with enormous potential. But potential alone does not create champions. Through years of shared experiences, they gradually learned how to balance each other's strengths and weaknesses. If one struggled emotionally, the other stepped forward. If one felt uncertain, the other provided confidence. Their partnership evolved beyond simple athletic cooperation. It became a source of stability in an unpredictable world. Another important figure entered their story during those years. Local members of the Japanese community helped create a sense of home far away from home. Among them was a woman originally from Kobe who had spent decades living in Canada. To the athletes, she became something like a second mother. Whenever homesickness became overwhelming, whenever life in a foreign country felt lonely, there was someone nearby who understood their language, their culture, and their struggles. The importance of that support cannot be overstated. Elite athletes often appear strong and independent from a distance, but behind every successful career is a network of people providing encouragement when nobody else is watching. Coaches, therapists, friends, volunteers, and community members all contribute in ways that rarely make headlines. Miura and Kihara benefited from exactly that kind of quiet support system. Gradually, years of effort began producing visible results. Progress did not happen overnight. There was no magical moment when everything suddenly became easy. Instead, success arrived one step at a time. At the 2021 World Championships, they finished 10th. Respectable but far from the top. At the 2022 Winter Olympics, they placed 7th. Again impressive, but not yet history-making. To casual observers, those placements might have seemed disappointing. To those who understood their journey, however, they represented something else entirely, proof that they were moving forward. Every competition brought new experience. Every season added another layer of confidence. Every challenge they overcame strengthened their belief that something greater might eventually be possible. Then came the breakthrough. In 2023, Miura and Kihara achieved something no Japanese pair team had ever accomplished before. They became world champions. After years of training, injuries, homesickness, and sacrifice, they reached the summit of their sport. For many athletes, such a moment represents the fulfillment of a lifelong dream. Yet even that extraordinary achievement was only part of the story. The world saw the medals and celebrations. The world saw interviews and photographs. What most people never saw were the thousands of ordinary moments hidden beneath that success. The evenings spent cooking together, the long drives to appointments, the frustrating rehabilitation sessions, the uncertainty of lockdown, the loneliness of living far from home. All those invisible experiences existed within that championship victory. As remarkable as becoming world champions was, an even bigger challenge still awaited them. The 2026 Winter Olympics in Milan Cortina arrived carrying enormous expectations. By then, Miura and Kihara were among the most respected pairs in the world. Fans believed they could make history once again. Years of preparation had led to this moment. But Olympic competition rarely follows a perfect script. During the short program, mistakes pushed them down to 5th place. Suddenly, the dream of Olympic gold appeared to be slipping away. The margin for error at that level is almost non-existent. One mistake can change everything. Athletes spend years preparing for opportunities that may last only a few minutes. When those minutes go wrong, the emotional impact can be devastating. Later, Kihara admitted how deeply discouraged he felt. In that moment, he struggled to see a path forward. The pressure was immense. The disappointment was real. Years of sacrifice seemed to be slipping through his fingers. Then something happened that perfectly captured the essence of their partnership. Before the free skate, Miura reportedly turned to Kihara and said, "Today, I'm skating for you." It was a simple sentence, yet it carried the weight of 7 years together. Kihara's response was equally powerful. "No," he replied. "Let's skate for each other." Those few words reflected everything they had built since arriving in Oakville. The respect. The countless ordinary days that nobody else remembered. In that moment, they were not thinking about fame or medals. They were thinking about the person standing beside them. When they stepped onto the ice for the free skate, they carried far more than technical preparation. They carried years of shared experiences. Every challenge they had overcome together seemed to accompany them onto the rink. And when the performance ended, history followed. They delivered a remarkable free skate and captured Olympic gold, becoming the first Japanese pair team ever to achieve that feat. As they embraced afterward, millions of viewers saw two champions celebrating the greatest accomplishment of their careers. What many people did not realize was that they were also celebrating every unseen moment that had made that victory possible. The gold medal represented much more than a single performance. It represented every sacrifice, every setback, every recovery session, every lonely evening, every encouraging conversation, and every act of kindness exchanged over 7 years in Oakville. The journey that had begun in an ordinary Canadian town had finally reached its extraordinary destination.